Delicate fingers wrapped around a smooth black stone, their lilac shade glowing with the activation of mana. Elias used his arts to press and tighten the stone on a molecular level, staring into the open fire beneath a starlit sky. "What you doing there?" asked Taka, the chieftain's son. A young Estra, Taka still had the thin horse body of a foal, and a young man's torso grew from the neck to a tan face, not dissimilar to his own. "I'm practicing my patience," Elias replied, his eyes sparkling with the mystic blue of the mana stream in the atmosphere above them. He pushed the stone between his thumb and forefinger to show Taka. "You see, this stone was once a piece of coal deep in the mines of Ruglor, and with patience, you can turn stones into diamonds." Elias twisted his hands to deflect as the stone vanished up his sleeve. Taka gaped and marvelled at the petty parlour trick. "How'd you do that?" Elias beaconed him closer and whispered in his ear, "Magic." Catching the air by Taka's ear, Elias pretended to find something there. A diamond, one no bigger than a bean, now replaced the stone between his thumb and forefinger. Elias smirked as Taka's eyes grew as wide as his hanging mouth, unsure what to believe. Elias placed the diamond in the boy's palm and closed his fingers around it. "You keep this one. Put it in a ring or necklace. Consider it an investment in your future." Taka's chest puffed with pride, and he nodded his head. The Estra were hardly rich, and it was likely the first one to ever find its way into Taka's hands. Elias cocked his head and grinned at the boy. "Go on, away with you." Chieftain Cronso laughed from across the fire. "I should be surprised if my son has not traded your diamond for a spear by week's end." The chieftain's horse legs were folded beneath a chestnut body with a thick black tail. His upper torso was built with more muscles than Elias dared to count for fear of inadequacy, but Cronso was as kind as he was intimidating once you got to know him. The hair upon his head was as thick as that in his tail, and he left it loose to hang over his broad shoulders, where dark tribal tattoos reached over towards his lean pectorals. "I fear a spear may prove more useful in years to come." Cronso scoffed. "Always with the doom and gloom. You're a strange one, outsider. There is no need to be worrying about the future." If only I could tell you all there was to worry about. Elias would not tell. He would never tell. It was not his place. Despite often wishing it was different, he was tasked only to watch and listen and wait. Do your seers not already warn you? Surely Guinan is not too blind to feel the change in the wind. It is not for you to worry what our seers predict, my friend. Oh, but it was, Elias wanted to tell him. Elias knew it all. It was his single purpose on Alamantra, his reason for being. Should the worst come to pass and the champions fail, the fate of the planet would fall to him. Elias grit his teeth. A high-pitched whine rang through his ears, causing Elias to wince away from the fire. After all I did for her and she's betrayed us. The word slid in Elias' ear through the mana stream like a poisoned draught. It was always one voice, the voice of honey and lies. Hers. She will not oppose me any longer. Elias relaxed his eyes and allowed the vision to come, his campfire fading to darkness as a woman appeared within the nothingness. The fabric of her hooded cloak hid her identity on this occasion, but there was only ever one person who appeared before him. She was the reason he was born unto Alamantra, the one who would change the planet to their design. Call in your sisters. I want her gone. Elias sniffed at the itch prickling his nose. Perhaps she's simply unable to respond without giving up her cover, a second voice echoed. He hardly ever knew who they were, but still he listened. It was why he was there. Don't you think we're rushing to... The woman's hand snatched at an invisible object and pulled it close. Did you think that was a request? No, Mother, please, You just what? Even Elias could feel the heat from the woman's breath. He swallowed and cast silent prayers for the next moments to go smoother than the last. There was a sigh Elias didn't see, and the voice responded, I shall see it gets done. The vision faded, and Elias returned to his fire in Estra. Where were you just now, outsider? Asked the chieftain over their fire. I wish I knew. Elias sniffed and rubbed his nose clear of static. I think perhaps you spent too much time in the smokehouse. Would you like me to fetch you some water? The chieftain chortled with no intention of moving. The Estra considered Elias weak and liked to think their smokehouses would prove too much for him. He tried not to hold it against them. The Estra were not especially keen on outsiders given their history of Ruglor and Dura carving out their territories from north and south, but Elias was neither and managed to sway their favours with his arts. 6 months they had travelled the Estra grasslands together. It was not long, but time enough to soften the walls of Elias's heart. However, the forging of their friendship was bittersweet, for it was their growing bonds which meant Elias could stay no longer. I'll take my leave in the morning and go south. There's something I need to see for myself. Cronso crossed his thick arms across his chest. You gallop strong and true. You will always be welcome among my clan, outsider. May Bados stride by your side. Elias stood to walk away and placed his hand upon the Estra's muscular shoulder. And you, my friend. Elias tried to keep moving. He should have left it at that and walked away, but invisible hands seemed to crush his chest and hold him in place. His once cold heartbeat across the 1,000 leagues they travelled together, and not even the gods could stop the words from escaping his lips. Promise me, Cronso, if a star ever shines in Bohet's smile, be sure not to trust it. Ride your people to Ruglor. In the mountains you will be safe. Cronso snorted. I'd have a hard enough time sending my people north. They'd sooner perish than live under some mountain. Then they shall perish. Elias pat Cronso and continued walking to his tent. Ignore me if you wish, my friend. You will know I speak the truth when the 10 circle Vesperia. Chief Cronso remained by the fire for some time after that, alone with his thoughts. The outsider was a strange creature, but his warning hailed with more conviction than any seer. It sent pins and needles down his limbs with a nervous energy which twitched his ears like a coming storm. Was it possible he knew something their seers didn't? Could he see further or clearer than they could? Cronso collected his thoughts and looked to the stars. Bohet. He found the constellation for the god of good fortune with his chalice to hold the wealth. Bohet had no smile though, just the mana stream passing over the constellation in an ever-changing swirl of mana. Vesperia was not one he had heard in many years, and he thought it entirely possible Elias was just leaving him with one last jibe. Still, Cronso watched the stars and checked Bohet again before he retired to his tent. He looked up before going to bed the next evening, and the one after that, and would continue to do so for years to come, just in case the outsider was right.